Dice Tower Tonight, episode 84.
How to trap your family and have them thank you for it afterward.
Welcome to Dice Tower Tonight, a video cast about board games and card games, and especially the people who play them. On tonight's show, Let Us Out. We're talking about our favorite escape game systems. Which one is best to give to that non-gaming relative who wants to pretend to be locked in a room? Also, I have a classic for Crystal in the chat to play. We run through some titles we've played lately, and we answer questions from the audience live. I'm Eric Summerer, and joining me now, the Olmec to my Kurt Fogg, it's Crystal Dax.
Now, this is a reference I am all over, Eric, because, first off, in case anyone in the chat is not familiar with who they are from the Nickelodeon game show Legends of the Hidden Temple. And it is one of the only Nickelodeon game shows from the 90s that I would have refused to be on as a kid. Like, I wanted to be on every game show except Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Is it the Temple Guards?
It was the Temple Guards. Literally, that moment when a kid goes into the room and then a giant adult man jumps out of a wall and literally grabs the child and hauls them into the interior of the temple.
Into the abyss. Yeah.
No, sir. Also, the monkey that they had to stack up that literally no one could ever do.
Yep. So have you seen the TV movie?
I heard about it, but I have not seen it.
If you have any way, I have no idea how accessible it is or if it's on demand or anything, but Nickelodeon, a couple years ago, did a TV movie based on Legends of the Hidden Temple. It has Kurt Fogg in it. It's about these kids who sort of are fans of the show and they get trapped in a temple and it's all real and Olmec is there and everything. But there's all sorts of references for fans of the show and like they can't figure out the golden monkey. They're at it for hours and they just can't get the pieces to go to. It's really funny. It has some, for being a dumb Nickelodeon TV movie, it has some nice moments.
I just turned up my microphone. Someone said my volume seems low compared to yours. Hopefully this will fix it. Do I sound okay on your end, Eric?
You sound fine to me, but I think I'm hearing it from Skype as opposed to I can actually turn you up a little bit on my end as well. Okay. We'll see if that gets a little bit better. Cool. It's one of those things.
Which team are you then for Legends of the Hidden Temple?
Oh boy, I mean I think I like the Silver Snakes.
Okay.
It was the green monkeys, right? What was the blue barracudas? I was a blue barracudas,
orange
iguanas.
Yep. Yeah. I was a purple parrot for sure.
Eric is loud. Great. Eric is loud. We could probably fix that too. All right, let me just look here. It's on the board, so let's bring that down just a little bit. Let's get a little more mellow, shall we?
I was like, he's going into radio mode. I'm excited.
Yes, I have many dials I can flip. I'm seeing I'm in the red, so I'm going to back it off just a little bit farther, and maybe that'll be better. So it's not your fault, Crystal. It's me. I'm just too loud.
Honestly, at this point, we blame Skype and anything else that we can because it's usually the technology's fault.
It's probably. Also, it's the fact that I'm hearing. Actually, I'm not hearing much of anything on my end. I'm hearing you from Skype, and I'm not hearing the final mix that goes out. So, it's good to let us know when things are a little wacky. And
clearly, we need a producer.
Sure. Another couple years.
We're very rich and fancy here, so producer, come appear.
Yes. In there. We like Eric Loud, says Haylox. Thank you so much. Loudmouth Eric is his nickname. That's great. We should probably talk about some games, Crystal, before we just totally degenerate into chat time. What have you been playing lately?
So, unsurprisingly, I've been playing some games online.
Yep.
And I recently got to try a game that is on Board Game Arena called High Clue. It is spelled Haiclue. It is a pun on the word haiku, and it is somewhat similar to the party game Word Slam, if people are familiar with that. The physical board game for Haiku came out in 2019, but I had not heard of it until someone mentioned that this game was on Board Game Arena. The difference is that whereas Word Slam is a team-based cooperative game, Haiku is entirely competitive. So everyone is competing against everybody else. And instead of having a endless supply of words to draw from, it's a little more limited. So in Haiku, each player has a set of word cards in front of them, and then there are 4 words set out on the table, or in the online form, obviously, on your screen. And the game selects one of those 4 cards for you, and that is the card that you are going to have to give a clue to the other players about. They all also have one of those 4 words randomly selected for them. And it could be the same as yours or it could be different. But the set of cards that's in your hand is different for every player. So you look at what word it's given you. So maybe it says car is the word that you have to get everybody to guess. They know what the 4 words are. They can see car and 3 other words in front of them on the table. You have to take words from your hand and piece them together in such a way that they'll know you're trying to get them to car. The words in your hand are pretty random, though. So you might be able to piece some things together, and the way you place the cards is also important because you can kind of make different phrases out of these words to try and get them to the right clue, and that's where the Haiku comes in. It's not a poem per se, but it kind of is. So if I have metal and box in my hand, I might say metal box. That would be pretty obvious. There might not be something in your hand that's that clear, so it might be something more like vacation, like mode or something, which okay. Like I'm not certain obviously of all the words that are actually in the game. I'm making these up, but like vacation mode, what if beach is also on the table? Oh, I'm in vacation mode instead of a mode of transportation.
Yeah.
There's lots of little things. And when we played this online, I would make a clue and I'd be like, oh, this is going to be so obvious. And then nobody would get it right. So what you do is everybody makes their clues simultaneously. And then you go around and everybody has to guess each person. So when you get to mine, everybody else guesses which word my clue is for at the same time, and then we reveal, and you get points if you were correct, and you don't get points if you were wrong, and then we go to the next person, and that's a round, and you play 6 rounds of that. So each person gets to give 6 clues. It moves pretty quickly. The physical version that sits on a table, I think, has a couple of small differences because when they translated it to an online format, I want to say it's a little different. Like I read in the rules for the regular version that you get to pick which one of the 4 words you're giving a clue for, I think, which would make this very different because based on the cards in your hand, if you got to pick what word you're giving a clue for, it would make it a little easier. But I actually kind of really like that it picks for you and forces you to be really creative in how you describe the thing. It's simple to play. It's free on Board Game Arena. I really enjoyed it. I prefer the more team-based nature of something like Word Slam. But for a word game on Board Game Arena, I think this one was great, and I definitely will be playing it more in the future.
Oh, very cool. What's it called again?
Haiku. Haiclue.
All right. The game I wanted to talk about is not brand new. This is one that my son immediately wanted to find amongst all of the packed games so that we could play it. And that is a game I've mentioned, I know, a couple times. I don't know how much detail I've gone into on Pathfinder adventure card game. I know I've mentioned it before, Crystal. How familiar are you with this one?
Well, like me personally, or you talking about it? Because
either.
I have never played the Pathfinder adventure card game.
Okay.
But I have heard you talk about it once or twice in the past. Honestly, I love hearing you talk about this game for the record.
All right. So general overview. This game came out several years ago, and there are several sets. This is published by Paizo because they do all the Pathfinder stuff, but it's from Mike Selinker and his design team, and it's this adventure card game system. Let me grab the big box here. So this is one game that you don't want to put on its side. No, bad, because it has this organizer, each of those slots, in fact, see these decks up here on top? You only get like the first one in the box, and then these are all mini expansions, but it has little slots for them in the insert. You create a character, like here's my guy, this is Ezrin, and he's represented by a deck of cards, which is his spells, for Ezrin specifically, his spells, his items, his allies that he has in his deck. And I think it's maybe 15 cards to start. That's not only his stuff, it's also his life, because as you go on adventures, if you take damage, you discard the cards that you have in your hand. And if you're ever not able to replenish your hand at the end of your turn, you die. And officially, you're supposed to fully die. You're supposed to dismantle the character, put him back in the box, and make a new one next time. We have, playing with the children, we tend to go a little easier than that. We have said that the character just doesn't get the rewards for completing a particular adventure. They get knocked out and sent to the inn, because I do not want to deal with the tears of a child whose character has just died. It's just not happening. The whole thing is based on these decks of cards. You have a location, or you have an adventure that you set up for. It has maybe 6 or 8 locations. It's all based on the number of characters you're playing with. And they are represented by a deck, a location deck. And that's made up of like 3 pieces of armor, 2 spells, 8 monsters, 3 blessings, and it all goes into a deck. And amidst those decks are the bad guy and their henchmen, their minions. There goes 1 in each of the locations, and your goal is to find the big bad and take them out, but also prevent him from running away. So you have to sort of shut down all of the locations, or at least temporarily shut them down, so that when you defeat the bad guy, they have nowhere to flee to.
Oh, okay.
So that's like one adventure, but the real game is the metagame, the overarching thing. Working through all of those decks, you get to gradually make your character better, because as you go, you might find a piece of armor or a weapon, and if you acquire that, it goes into your hand. And so then when you're done with the adventure, you have to whittle down back to your basic deck, back to the 15 cards. And so you're going to get rid of the stuff that's not as useful and keep the more powerful weapons and armor and all of that stuff. So it's actually kind of a shopping game. You know, I'm going to put this down because it's getting heavy. Hang on. My arm. So you have sort of this sense of revealing something new, and can I acquire that? And, you know, is this something I've seen before? Oh, I don't really care. It's that loot drop sense. As you're discovering more things and beating bad guys and discovering ways to make your character better. A new spell that you've never seen before, and maybe I can make this work with my character, and learning how your character has strengths and weaknesses and how they can help or hinder the bad guys. And the reason why I'm so excited is we just finished one of those adventure decks. So when you finish an adventure deck, you get some rewards and stuff, but then you open the next deck of cards. It's like another 110 cards that has now more bad guys, more villains, more scenarios, more armor, more weapon, all of that stuff. But it's only like a couple of each, so you get like another 6 pieces of armor and another 5 weapons, and they get shuffled into the deck. And then there's a system where you start removing the lesser cards. The basic cards start getting removed as you work your way through the adventures. The whole thing is just like a finely tuned watch that's all about shopping and getting cool stuff. I'm having a lovely time. But that box, that Rise of the Rune Lord set, which was the first set, and its 6 adventure decks, are all I think I ever need for this game. Because not only are we we just finished Adventure Deck 3. There are 3 more adventure decks to work our way through. We could then start over with new characters and play those again. There is plenty of adventure in this box. There are, however, other boxes. There's entire other sets with their own adventure decks and character decks and everything. So I still adore this game. I'm still having a blast with this game, and I'm excited because we just opened up more cards and I want to see if I can win them. That's the Pathfinder adventure card game. Still one of my kids' favorites, and still one of mine.
It sounds like one of those games that I would really enjoy, but I will probably never buy just because of the time required to really like get something out of it. I did the same thing with the Arkham Horror LCG.
Yeah.
I played through a scenario or two with Z actually at one of the conventions that both of us were at, and I don't remember which one now. He taught me the game and we played through a little bit of it, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I'm also never going to buy it just because I knew that like that's the type of game that would sit on my shelf and I'd be like, oh yeah, I should definitely play that, and I just wouldn't get around to it. I feel like this would fall within that realm for me, which is a bummer because occasionally one of those games I think would be the thing that would blow my mind, but those lifestyle games, so to speak, I just don't have the time or patience for because I love trying new things so much.
Well, I mean, there are, like you said, you only have so much bandwidth for these styles of games. This is probably the one that has made more traction, and we're sort of invested in it now. I was playing this solo originally. It was just me playing two characters on my own, working my way through, but then my eldest saw the game and got interested. It's like, oh, can I play? And so we sort of had to back up and fold him into the adventures. And then the youngest has recently wanted to get involved, although he's dropped off. I think this is just going to be me and the older kid. The younger one is like, this isn't my thing. After I went all the way back and worked his characters all the way from the beginning again to meet us up. But whatever, it's fine. There's only so many of these styles of games you can do, and that's one of my issues with a lot of the legacy games and campaign games is I can't play them all. I can't really you can't devote the time that you need to play through the entire thing. Yeah.
It was funny because early in you discussing the game, I was thinking in my head, I mean, I could get it and play it on stream solo, but like, I also know that like, I can't play everything on stream either. So, because on Twitch, I've been streaming, random video games and board games for most of the pandemic. And
yes.
That sounds like one that would be fun to do technically, but.
I know you did Portal 2, or you started up Portal 2 again recently. How far did you get in the game?
So yeah, I played through all of the original Portal on Saturday, and I played through the whole game in one sitting.
Oh, right, that's
it's short.
Easy, yeah.
And then last night I started the Portal 2 story campaign and got through 4 chapters. We got right up to the escape, which is like we had just, well, never mind. I don't want to spoil it. And I recognize it's almost decade-old game, but I'm still not going to spoil it for people who haven't played it because it is delightful.
Has it been a decade since Portal 2?
2011. I was shook. Somebody put it in my chat last night because I was like, I feel like the last time I played this was like 6 years ago, which is probably true because I believe I played through the story twice because I played it on Xbox and on PC. But then, somebody's like, oh, it came out in 2011. And I was like, what? How? Like, it just
I remember the anticipation for that game. Like, when they announced it, and then I was watching trailer videos, and then I was watching, they trickle out a little bit of information, gameplay videos, and I just couldn't wait. And I waited for the live launch, and I got it on day one, and oh my goodness. And that was almost a decade ago.
Yeah. Time. It is a mystery. But what's nice about that is now I'm playing through it and I remember the overarching story, obviously, but I don't remember all of the puzzles. The early ones are easy enough that I'm like, this. But the further I progress, what was really funny last night is there is one particular chamber that I went into, and as soon as I saw it, I went, I know I hate this one. And I was like, I don't remember the solution to this, but I know I hate it.
Oh,
and
good.
So I literally, I messed around for a few minutes, and then I was like, chat, just tell me what the one thing is that I need to, know to make everything else click. And they told me, and I was like, yep, that's it. Wouldn't have gotten there right away. It's just, and everybody else in the chat was like, yeah, that one's super annoying. So...
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I'll be playing through the rest of the Portal 2 story campaign on my own over on Twitch. And then Ambi and I are planning on playing the co-op campaign together on our stream as well.
Yes.
I'm very excited about
that.
I've
Is
played
very
the co-op
fun.
campaign only once before, so.
Yes. Very, very cool. So it's time to play a game, I think.
I would love to do that.
Yes.
I mean, we're a board gaming live streaming show. Let's play some games.
So there's been a lot of upheaval in my life lately. I'm still surrounded by boxes, although things are getting a little bit better day by day. But I'm sort of in the mood for some comfort food. And so we're going to play our Dice Tower Tonight board game, party game version of comfort food, and that is Just One.
Yay! I love it.
So our version of Just One involves you folks in the chat. Crystal's going to hide her camera so that she can't see what I am showing to the camera. I will show a word, a single word, to the camera. And your job is to get Crystal to guess that word. And you will do that by giving one-word clues. And when you type them into the chat, you need to do so in all caps, so it's easier to see that you're actually giving a clue and not just chatting. And after 6 of the first 6 responses that I can see on my view here on the laptop, and sometimes that's in a different order than you may be typing them, but the first 6 I see, I will remove any duplicates. So anything that matches another player gets removed. Crystal will not hear that clue. And we'll see if she can guess the word based on the clues that she is able to hear. I have 8 words in the queue. That's usually a pretty good selection of words, and we'll see how many she can get. I mean, we could go for a perfect score. Who knows?
I mean, I'm going to doubt it, but sure, yeah, let's do that.
Gator Dave, you can't give clues yet. He just said bowcaster, and that's not...
Oh.
That's a clue from like 3 months ago. Okay.
I like the callback. We've hit the point where we have meta in-jokes.
We have lore. Chat. We have lore now. All right.
Yes.
So, Crystal, you have hidden the chat, and you've hidden my camera, so you can't see me. Okay.
I cannot see you, nor can I see the chat.
All right. I am actually going to type... I don't need to type word number 1. I'll type word number 2 when we get there, just so it's not confusing. But chat, your first word is ta-da. That's your word. That's the one you're going for.
I'm going to laugh when someone types something into the chat related to ta-da.
Ta-da. Well, didn't we have a sound effect? It was whoa.
Oh, yeah.
So we will banter for just a minute while the clues come in. But as soon as we have 6, I can give those to you, and we'll see how things go. This one I think should be pretty straightforward. I like to start easy. We don't want to get... You are an expert at this point, but...
I mean, I do really like Just One.
I should remind you that it has to be a single word clue. You cannot have more than one word, so I'm eliminating one of those clues. All right, I see 1, 2... I can stop scrolling. Okay. 1, 2... I'm not counting out 1. 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, no. Oh, that's not good at all. Yep.
Do I get anything?
You have 5 of the words were eliminated, Crystal.
Okay.
Your single clue is Latka. Latka. Latka.
Okay. Based on that alone, I'm just going to say pancake.
Excellent guess. I'm not going to tell you what the word is because there is a theme, and we're going to see how well you can figure out the theme based on words you don't get.
All right.
Okay.
I wasn't going to overthink that one with only one clue.
some very good clues coming in now, but yeah, you canceled each other out on a bunch of those. We'll tell you
Eric,
about those later.
Are you ready to show the chat the second word?
I am ready to show chat the second word.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to unbox my advent calendar for today.
All right, here is word number 2.
I got to find number 9. I can't find it. It's not an unboxing video if I literally cannot find the 9. What
Yes.
the heck? I see. Oh, there it is.
It's part of the fun of advent calendars that they're all out of order and you have to search for them.
Yeah. I'll describe it during our next break, but it's unboxed now.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I have the first clue for word number 2 that has just arrived, and I'm hearing clicking, so they should show up very soon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it looks like, oh, you just barely managed not to step on each other's toes this time. So you get the full 6. You get 6 clues this time, Crystal.
Okay.
Your clues are risky, suit, work, company, profit, and serious.
Business.
Business is right. I'm showing you, but you can't see it. Business, you get the points for business. Well done. I just threw it on the keyboard, so I can't type. Word 3. All right. Here comes word number 3. Great clues. Those were all very excellent clues, chat. There is word number 3.
So today's caramel is the black lava sea salt caramel. I said caramel and caramel all in one sentence there.
I find that there's so many words that can be pronounced different ways, and I tend to pronounce them both ways. But when I'm in the booth reading a book, I like have to, like, the word right now that's driving me nuts is anti or anti, and depending on how it's used in a word, it can be either way, but I'm trying to be consistent, so I have it written on my notes. Anti!
I'm the same way. Like, if I'm talking about, like, a sundae, I will say a caramel sundae, I think. But if I'm talking about popcorn, I say caramel popcorn. Also, you can see the black lava sea salt in this. Like, it's literally, like, black salt. I don't know if this will show up. And I obviously can't see the stream, so
it looks delicious. No, it looks good.
I'm going to eat this.
I have your 6 clues. Of those 6, 2 are duplicates. So you're going to get 4 words. The first is Walkman, jack, listen, and wireless.
Headphones.
Headphones is right. Well done.
Okay.
The one that got eliminated was earbuds, but also a good clue if it had made it.
Oh my God, this is good.
I get it way too late, the words, and I see you guys already putting clues. Okay. Word 4.
Sorry, I'm going to back away so I'm not making mouth
noise.
I know.
Word number 4 is worm. And they're asking, Crystal, if it's milk or dark. Or no, they're asking, is it milk or milk? How do you say that word? Yeah.
Always milk.
As a Michigander, I did hear milk a lot. I try not to say it myself, but I have friends who tell me that I say that sometimes. Occasionally, my Midwesternness comes through. Like, I
mean, I grew up in the Midwest, but we still said milk in Missouri. That there was no milk that I was privy to.
The thing that gets me is assault, and I have to keep thinking assault, S-A-L-T, assault, because I'll say, what do I say? Assault? I'll swallow it. Assault. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't know if I've ever heard that one before. My mom did call the creeks near our house cricks. You know, go down by the creek.
Yep. Okay, of the 6 clues that came in first, there are 2 sets of duplicates. So you lost 4 words.
Okay.
The ones you get are Lincoln's and fever. Lincoln's and fever. That was an apostrophe S on Lincoln's, by the way.
Okay. Fever. Oh, man. Like, I'm trying to think of the fever. Like, Lincoln's is probably... Oh.
It's also the name Lincoln's, Lincoln apostrophe
That's what I
S.
assumed.
Okay.
Lincoln's fever. Fever dream. Disco fever. Fever pitch. Lincoln's pitch. Lincoln's dream. Lincoln's park. That's a joke. Not a good one. Fever. I'll go with dream. I'm really not sure.
Dream is unfortunately not the correct word.
Okay.
We'll talk about what got eliminated later.
Okay.
She caught Lincoln's fever. Yep, it's true. All right.
The old Lincoln's fever.
Word 5. And yes, this is word 5.
I do like that sound effect. That one was less pleasant.
Well, it has to be sad when the word leaves.
I mean, well then yes, you succeeded because it was less pleasant. So.
Yes.
That one sounded more like I'm hungry and my stomach is yelling about it.
Perhaps. Maybe I am hungry.
You know, it's what 9:30 p.m. there.
Something along those lines. Yeah. All right. The first 2 clues have come in. 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right. 2 of them, however, have been eliminated. So there's one set of duplicates. You get 4 words. They are servant, ash, A-S-H, oven, and carry. Servant, ash, oven, and carry.
I mean, it's those words together are definitely making me think of like a wood fire, like a fireplace. But like, why would, if it was fireplace, you wouldn't say carry. If it was, or you wouldn't say servant. But all those things together are making me think of like getting a bundle of wood, taking it inside, and building a fire. If it was fire, it wouldn't, servant and carry don't make sense either. Flue? No. You wouldn't say those words for that either. Like, chimney? No. Read them one more time. Ash, carry, servant, and what was the last one?
Oven.
Oven. Like, what connects servant and oven? Cook? No, because then we wouldn't have carry. Or ash. It has to be, I'm going to say fire. I don't think that's right, though.
It's not. So you're right about being wrong.
Okay.
We'll put that in the not pile.
It is interesting how your brain connects things together and then you have such a difficult time wrenching them apart.
Yes. If you get stuck on something, it's hard to get away from it. All right. Here comes word 6, and I'm sorry. Here we go.
You do not have to apologize for your delightful noises.
It's not the noise that I'm apologizing for. It's the word.
Oh, okay.
Because
well, I guess that proves that I'm not cheating.
We said, that that we were starting easy, and
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes the harder ones end up easier because they lend themselves to more interesting clues. I don't know.
Coralu says it's hard to think of weird clues that won't get eliminated. That is the tricky part of this game, trying to get the thing that's going to give it to you, but not be the one that that duplicates somebody else. All right, I have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it looks like there's one set of duplicates. 2 words are eliminated. So you get gift, beverage, continental, and breakfast.
Continental, breakfast, gift, and beverage.
Yes.
This is one of those ones where everything fits together again, except for one word. Gift does not fit with the others naturally. So it's something that just connects these things. Gift, beverage, continental, and breakfast. So something clearly was leading people toward, like, what, if you're thinking continental breakfast, like the things I think of when I think of a continental breakfast, regardless of whether this is the right path for me to go down or not, are not beverage related though. Like I think of like pastries or so it's like orange juice. Like if it was juice, gift makes no sense. Oh my gosh, my brain isn't making any connections. Continental.
Ooh, a good clue from a fatal paper cut. I really like that, but not fast enough to get on the list.
I just
Unfortunately,
hope that the chat isn't sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, this is so obvious," when it really feels
I'm not sure. This one is a tricky one, but they're good clues.
continental. Like you put a word up, and someone in the chat was like, "The best clue to give Crystal right now is continental."
Yep, and also I read them in the order in which they came in. So
I know. And my brain is, yes, getting continental and breakfast away from one another is very difficult because that's a thing. I don't know it. Gift. Complimentary.
You are excellent. Well done.
Oh,
Complimentary.
is what did it.
Yes. That's what you needed. Complimentary is exactly right. Well done. Very, very good.
I love that aha moment in games. It's my favorite thing.
That was great. Very good. And chat is impressed.
Okay.
I'm seeing a lot of wow. All right. Word number 7.
I knew that gift had to be the thing that would get me there.
Yes, that was a very important clue because you were heading one direction with the other 3, and then having it as free is, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think free was the one that I had to eliminate. Is that right?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yes.
I think if I were giving a clue for this now, knowing what I know, I think like gratis would maybe be a word I would go for.
Free, yeah, was the pair that I had to eliminate.
Okay.
Okay, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and unfortunately, you've got 2 pairs.
Okay.
So, you get now ticket.
Now ticket. Present. No, that doesn't work with ticket. Ah! Now ticket. Tag. Man.
A few folks have guessed the category. Well done.
I'm so far away from that, it's not even funny. Once we go back and reiterate the ones I have gotten, maybe I'll figure something out. But,
yep. It's easier when you know them all, too.
I would imagine that is the case. I'm gonna just say tag, even though that makes no sense.
Tag is not correct, no.
Okay.
This is our final word. It is tough. The two clues you got are very difficult.
And now and ticket.
Word 8. Yeah, we'll talk about what clues got eliminated. Word 8 is
now and ticket.
I'm reminded of a map I saw in Japan, in Nara, that was, like a guide map, and where it usually has the big red oval that says, "You are here." It had that, but it was listed as the now place.
Oh, that's awesome. I like that.
This is the now place. All right, I've got 1. I've got 2. I've got 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there is another duplicate, so you're going to get 4 words here.
Okay.
Syndrome, luggage, storage, and kallax. Kallax. Syndrome, luggage, storage, and kallax.
I know this makes for great content when I'm sitting here staring at my wall.
The ones that got eliminated, it's a shame because they were an excellent clue.
Oh, okay. So I'm just going to start talking out loud.
Sure.
Storage, luggage, and kallax all lend themselves to something like cube or shelf. But syndrome doesn't. So syndrome has got to be the piece that'll get me there. So something syndrome related that also could be tied to something like a shelf or a storage or a bookcase or something syndrome. Because yeah, it's almost never syndrome whatever. It's something syndrome. So that's what this person is doing. I will say, I have found for me personally that I struggle the most in Just One when people use half of a phrase as their clue instead of using something definition.
Like a definition, yeah.
Yeah. Like when it's definition based, it's easier for my brain to connect the dots. If it's, 6 halves of different phrases, it's really difficult for my brain to get there. And I'm assuming that it's something syndrome. So, like, Stockholm is clearly not right. Wait. Stockholm is in Sweden. But no, you wouldn't say luggage if it was Stockholm. Dang it. I was thinking the IKEA connection. Wait, is it IKEA? That couldn't be syndrome, though. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I feel like I could get there if I just...
Chat is also confused about some things, which is, don't feel too bad.
What, am I, something I've said?
No.
Oh. Okay. I'm just gonna say... Contain? No. Container? I'll say container.
Container's wrong. I'm going to give you the one that got booted. It was glove.
Glove. So glove, kallax, luggage, storage?
Nope.
Is that right? No.
Nope. I'm gonna ditch that one now. Okay. So here are the 3 you got. Complimentary, headphones, and business. Do you have a guess?
What's interesting, I was actually not guessing on that last one. I was asking if storage was one of the clues I was given by somebody. But, so I haven't actually, it's fine.
Sure.
Give me those 3 words one more time because I wasn't back in the mindset of the theme yet.
Complimentary, headphones, and business.
Headphones?
Then we can start working backwards on the ones that you missed.
Oh my gosh! A theme that Eric would pick.
Complimentary headphone business. People are saying it sounds like a YouTube ad.
I mean, yeah, like
Order now. Complimentary headphone business.
does your business need complimentary headphones?
Turnkey
Well,
opportunity.
something for you. Okay,
Much wealth to be gained.
I have nothing, truly.
Okay. So what you missed, this last one was compartment. Glove compartment, and apparently compartment syndrome is a medical issue, which I was not aware of.
Okay, yeah, that I would not have.
So compartment, you had the one that was
business.
Yep.
Headphone. Complimentary.
Yep.
Nope. Let's keep going.
Okay. The one that was now ticket was. Let's see if I can figure out the where those clues were. Nope, that's too far. School. Kennel. Pass. Boarding was the word you were going for.
Oh.
Boarding pass, boarding school, but school got eliminated.
Now didn't work either because again it's the phrase, not the definition.
Yep.
That's
now
why...
boarding. The serving or the servant, and the oven, and the cable or carry. Ice.
Ice?
TV, all went with tray. Tray was the servant.
Was it? What? Yeah, it was servant, not serving, right?
Servant and ashtray.
Servant and tray don't go together.
Well, a servant would bring you something on a tray. I think that's what they're...
I think anybody can bring you something on a tray. Like, a serving tray is a thing, but a servant tray is not. I'm just justifying the fact that I got this wrong right now.
Going back to the Lincoln, unfortunately, we eliminated log, and we eliminated woods from that set of clues. So you got fever and Lincolns, but you didn't get
fever, Lincolns, log, and woods.
And woods. If you were to build something out of Lincoln logs, yep. Cabin.
Okay.
And the first one, with almost all of the clues removed, the clues that you got, or that you should have gotten, yellow and cab were both removed.
Okay, so taxi?
Taxi was right. So, the whole thing is you have taxi, cabin, tray, boarding, compartment, complimentary, headphones, and business.
So we're talking airplane here.
Airplane is right. That was
it.
So you got some really hard ones, and unfortunately you were put in a really bad position on some of them. Yeah.
You know what? I think the chat did awesome trying to get me there as much as they could with me really just not connecting the dots.
So sometimes when you're stuck in the middle of the game, you just want to hit the escape button and head out the escape hatch. And we're talking about escape games. Crystal, this is your idea. You want to take the wheel and let us know what you're thinking about right now?
Absolutely. So, well, first off, like I think you and I have mentioned and ancillarily just shown that during the pandemic, one of the genres of board games that seems to be easier to get to the table is escape room games. I have reviewed a few here on the show. I've reviewed some on my podcast. And I've been playing more of them during the pandemic than I typically would. And I've been playing them solo because, well, I'm quarantined at home by myself. And these games, for the most part, do lend themselves to solo play. They are also good with a group, but I figured it would be nice to discuss just kind of broadly some of the categories of escape room games that you and I enjoy, and maybe a few specific of those, within those groups that we really liked. And maybe we could pass on some recommendations if people here in the chat want to get an escape room board game for someone in their life who maybe isn't a gamer. I believe that there are a lot of people out there who probably have done a real escape room and love it, and have no idea that escape room board games exist. So I think this is a really fun Christmas gift for somebody in your life right now.
I think generally these escape room games are relatively inexpensive. When it comes to the wider array of possible board games you can get. If you're talking about one of the single unlock decks, they're around $10 to $15. Even the multi sets that have been coming out lately with 3 decks inside it are around $30, so that's about $10 per deck. The exit games, we're talking about the 2 biggest ones, Unlock and Exit, I think. Those are only around $15. And so it makes a good, inexpensive gift and something that you're not out too much money if the recipient doesn't like it too much. Or if it doesn't land well, it's not like you spent $60 on a board game. It's a much easier entry if you're unsure.
And at least for me personally, especially for people that I really care about in my life, I enjoy gifting experiences more than items, especially the older I get, the people in my life, aside from, the children, like my nephews and whatever else, like they generally have most of the things that they need. And so gifting physical items can be difficult because it's like, well, if they want a thing, they usually get the thing unless it's something really big and extravagant, and I can't afford really expensive stuff. So this to me feels like, in the midst of a pandemic, a way to gift an experience that doesn't require someone to leave their house. Yeah. And I think that that's a really cool gift to give somebody.
Yeah, I agree. And I was trying to think of ways to maybe do this as a shared experience. Not all of these escape room games allow for that. They sort of require some very specific examination of components and looking very closely. But for something that is only $10 to $15, you could, in theory, each have a copy of an exit game, or each have a copy of an unlock deck, borrowing from a friend to get one that a friend is playing, and play that simultaneously while you're both able to look at the same components and manipulate the same components in separate zones. That could work.
Ambi and I have actually been talking about doing that in the very near future on our Twitch channel. Or if we don't stream it, just doing it over webcam and then being able to review the same game together. Because obviously, since we're not located in the same place, we often don't get to play games together. But we did get some review copies of a few of the exit titles where we both have a copy now. And so nice. We want to kind of do that. Yeah. So of the big groupings of escape room games, I'll run through a few of them. So we already mentioned Unlock. We mentioned Exit.
Yep.
There is Escape Room the game. There's Escape Room in a Box. There's Deckscape. There's Escape Tales.
Yep.
I know there's one that I'm missing. There's I don't remember what the name of the series is because I haven't played any of them. There's one of the names is Stargazer's Manor in that line.
That is
Escape the Room. Maybe.
Yes, Escape the Room. It's the Think Fun series.
I haven't played those, so that's why it's not as...
Those are actually very good entries into this style of game. They're like Exit. They're in the sense that you're manipulating components. There is definitely a physical aspect to these. But it is a little bit simpler, at least the first two. The Mystery at Stargazer's Manor and the Dr. Gravely's Retreat. Is that right? The first two are very easy entry. The new one, there is a Cursed Dollhouse version, which I couldn't bring it out. I looked for it, but it's still packed away somewhere. But it forms a full dollhouse. It is far more difficult than the other ones, and a little more creepy than the other ones. It's less of a family-friendly adventure. It is pretty cool in the way it manipulates components and sets a scene. It's one of the more physical escape room games, but it is far more difficult than the first two if you're looking at that series.
Yeah. For me personally, I've played through at least one of most of the other, or I think all of the other series that I mentioned. And in the instances of Unlock and Exit, I've played quite a few. I don't know the exact numbers because I tend to be bad at tracking those,
Yeah.
like I do other board games. Like I will play through it and then I'll forget to track it, and then it's later, and I'm like, oh, we played an Exit game. I don't remember which one that was, and
Yep.
I've kind of gone through and I did track some of them. So first off, for me, what's interesting is when escape room games kind of first hit the scene, Exit was my jam all the way. And for the record, I still love Exit. But like Exit right out the gate was amazing in my mind of what it could do. And Unlock was fine, but not as impressive to me because it was just cards. And I hated the hidden number system that they used at first. Over time, I have found those two those things moving much closer to one another and crossing over in a couple of very specific instances.
Okay.
My most recent play of the Star Wars Unlock is my favorite of the Unlock series, hands down. Those 3 scenarios, easily my favorite and better than a few Exit games that I've played. Whereas my most recent Exit game, I'm not going to show any spoilers, don't worry. I do have a box of components that I'm going to kind of dump out a little bit here. This is my least favorite Exit game that I've played.
Yes, I have played that one, and there were some tricky moments in there.
Again, no spoilers, but for me personally, there were puzzles in here that I was like, I have all the things, I know I have all the things, what is this? And I looked at the hint cards and the solution card and still couldn't do the thing. I had to literally be like, wait, what? It was frustrating in ways that most of the Exit games are not for me.
There are times that it would be nice to have a real person to ask questions of, and it's one of the reasons why I like running these sorts of things at conventions. The large Exit game, there's most of the Exit games are designed to be played in about an hour. They may go a little bit longer than that, but they're like a small, self-contained adventure. There is one that is sort of a double size. It's the Catacombs of Horror. It's more expensive. It is longer. It's actually a little bit harder. But that was like a full 4-hour slot at a convention once because I ended up with an extra copy. And so I ran it at a convention because Exit, we should note, do get destroyed. I don't have any examples of Exit games because I've recycled them all. We've played through them and then they're done basically. But
the only reason I have Stormy Flight is because I literally played it 2 or 3 days ago and knew that we were going to be talking about this. So I have the box of components.
That one. It was nice to be able to see when they were having trouble and to be able to give hints that were either more obvious or more subtle based on what they wanted, as opposed to having to stick with what does the first card say, what does the second card say, and then here's the solution on the third card. Some more granular hints are always better in my mind for these things, and Exit has only 3 levels of clues.
Agreed. And what's really neat is my friend Kathy, who also really likes escape room games and tends to pass copies of them off to me of the ones that are replayable once she plays them. She's also run a couple of them for me and my friends back before the pandemic. And it was funny because what she does, it's so adorable. She'll hand me one and she'll be like, there's one puzzle in here that you're absolutely going to hate. She just tells me right off the bat. And in the Star Wars Unlock, which I discussed in our last episode, yes? Is that right?
You've talked about it on Board Game Blitz. You did not talk about it here.
Okay. So I'm not going to spoil anything, but this is something that I do think is important to note. It's like an actual fact that you should know going in. When she repackaged that for me to hand it off to me, I opened the box lid and there's a handwritten note inside the box that says, scenario 2, one puzzle requires 2+ people. And that's all it said.
Yep.
Not a spoiler, but and then I ended up playing through it solo, and when I got to that puzzle, I went, oh, yeah, I can't do this the way it's intended with only one person.
Yep.
And that was fine, but she's so thoughtful. She just always thinks like, okay, what is Crystal gonna think, or what does she need? And it's adorable.
It is nice, most of these can be played solo. They're just, because they're group cooperative. If you're the only person playing, that's okay. But there are, yes, a couple of unlocks. There was an island one, the island of Dr. Gorse.
Oh yeah.
Where that requires a separation. You basically break into two teams for a good portion of the adventure. And there's a couple others. I think the Wizard of Oz one assumes that there's multiple players. You get roles a little bit. And sometimes it's a surprise. I'm always surprised when that sort of thing comes up, because it's like, oh wait, I'm the only one playing this one. But you can usually work around it. It's usually not terrible. It just ends up being like, oh, well, I guess I don't get to solve that puzzle the way they wanted, or it ends up being easier because there's some sort of communication issue. You're not allowed to, or you can't make it as difficult as the puzzle makers have wanted it to be, because you are the only one playing the game and have to have all the information.
Yeah. I will say, you mentioned the Wizard of Oz unlock. That is near the top of my list for unlock games that I really enjoyed as well. Although what's interesting about that one specifically, most of these escape room games do not require any outside knowledge that you have to bring into the game from the real world. But the Wizard of Oz one does. If you are not familiar, if you've never watched or read the Wizard of Oz, there are parts of that escape room you would not ever be able to do. And it was interesting because I don't think the rule book mentioned that. I guess they just assume if you've picked this up and you're like most people, you probably watched the movie.
Yeah.
I was surprised because when we first got to one of those puzzles in the game, I was like, well, you don't need outside knowledge, so it can't be that. And then, oh no, you do.
Yeah, well, we mentioned 2 weeks ago when I was talking about the Kringle Caper, that small little 18-card escape room, that the app does provide a primer on Christmas carols and stories and poems that you may need. Like, if you didn't know who the 8 reindeer are in the classic poem, you would be stuck on some of these puzzles. And so it's good that at least there's somewhere to get that information, even if it's not immediately at the tip of your tongue.
For sure. So, as I was kind of alluding to, Exit is generally my favorite, but I think recent unlocks have really kind of won my heart a little bit. But the thing is, Eric, that I really like escape room games, but I've realized that I have a little bit of a backlog. Some of these have arrived recently, I will admit, but I currently have... Okay, hold on.
Oh boy. Oh my goodness.
I have all of these. The ones on top that are in baggies are 2 different unlocks that are not in their boxes anymore. But the one on the bottom here is the one I'm actually the most excited about because I didn't know it existed until a week ago. It is the third in the Escape Room in a Box series.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a third. And I don't really care for The Walking Dead all that much, but I don't care because the people who make these games make really good escape room games.
Yeah.
So, I have some escape room games to get through.
A couple.
Just a few. But yeah, I will say that Escape Room in a Box series, there are 3 now. The Werewolf Experiment was the first one, Flashback was the second, and now this Walking Dead one is the third. The Werewolf Experiment is hands down my favorite escape room game of all time, with no qualifications whatsoever.
Okay.
It is also hard to find now, I think. So if you see it, it's usually at Target. If you see it sitting on a shelf at Target, get it, because it's awesome. And Flashback is equally fun, but not quite as good.
Werewolf Experiment, I actually have a copy of, and I have intended to put it back together. Many of these, even if they aren't destructive, sometimes need to be repacked in a particular way if you're going to give them to someone. And many of these companies have a tutorial on the website. Here's how you put it all back together in order to give it to someone else, which is great. I love that. But for the Werewolf Experiment particularly, I've wanted to put it back together, but I've just kept forgetting and not having the time to do it properly. And so I have this box of components that I want to gift to someone, but I can't because it's not ready for them yet, and I have to sit down and actually make all that happen.
I'm jealous. Kabuki Kid says that they have the Kickstarter version of the Werewolf Experiment, which I'm so jealous of. Because I only had the retail version, which, is plastic.
It's plastic,
box.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, still though, for those of you, I was somebody in the chat earlier, I think it might have been Halo X, said, yes, I've never done, no.
Ooh, the Dr. Brain games.
I did one real escape room, and I love those more than board game escape rooms, more tactile than just cards. That is why I like the Werewolf Experiment so much, because there are a lot of actual physical components that you have to manipulate. It felt more like a regular escape room in that regard.
I felt that way with the Curious Elevator and the Curious Stairs of Mr. Hinks, which is a series we didn't really talk about. I think I saw it in your pile, though.
Stairs, so we've talked about Elevator here on the show because I showed it off a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And they reached out to me and they were like, we heard you talk about the Elevator and we think you'll like the Stairs too. So they sent me the Stairs, and I have not played it yet, but I'm excited to.
I enjoyed the Stairs a lot. I got stuck fewer times on the stairs, which is good.
That's a funny phrase.
It is. And one of the ones in your pile was one I had set aside to the Escape Tales Low Memory, which I think we may have been talking about a couple weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, maybe. Because you and I have both played The Awakening.
Yep.
But so have you played Low Memory yet?
Not yet.
Okay, me neither.
I have had it floating around, and it's gone to game nights, and it just never hit the table. And then I was also showing off some unlocks. I like now that they're putting the unlocks in triple boxes. It makes it easier to purchase all three at once, which is good. And some of the more recent ones, you talked about the... oh, no!
Everything's fine. It's fine.
You talked about the Star Wars set, but the previous two before Star Wars are also very good. And one of my favorites, there we go, I really liked the middle one in there. Is that the...
This is Timeless. I've heard that Epic is really, really good. I don't have Epic yet.
I don't think Epic must be the more recent one.
I think Epic is the most recent aside from Star Wars.
I don't have that one, but there's a middle one about a French detective that's very good. There's a time...
Oh, this might be this one then.
There's a time travel
Arsene,
one.
Lupin and the Great White Diamond?
Yes, I liked Lupin a lot.
Okay.
That was a lot of fun. And there's a time travel one, which may also be the third one in that set.
Yep.
That was also really, really good. I think that might be my favorite. The one you're holding, I think, is my favorite triad of all of them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I will be really curious to hear if it gets usurped by Star Wars once you get it and play it.
I need to get the Star Wars. I need it. Just to annoy my son, who hates Star Wars.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I'm seeing a couple of other titles fly by. Someone asked, what is our favorite digital escape game? Like, have you played any of the apps that are escape room style? I've played The Room. The Room series is excellent. It's lots of manipulation of components and sliding things around and that sort of thing. And Forever Lost is another of my favorites, with puzzles and multiple rooms and finding your way out of things. Those are very, very good.
I've never really played any of the app-based ones. I think I've purchased a couple of VR escape rooms for my Oculus Rift, but I haven't played them.
Okay.
If you look online, at least it's been a while now since I've looked, but like every now and then when games go on sale, I'll just, kind of grab them up and then they'll just sit there not played forever. I'm sure no one in the chat can, can sympathize with that situation. But the reviews for most of the VR escape games have been pretty meh. If anybody knows of one that is very highly reviewed, I would love to know about it, because I think VR is a perfect place to play an escape room game. But when I look at them online and look at the reviews, most of them are kind of like, this was fine. And I don't know if that's just people being picky or if the games really aren't that well developed, but I still have a couple and I will try them. I'm actually planning on setting up my VR again soon. I haven't set it up since I moved into the new house, so. There
is a room game that was released just in VR, so I haven't played it.
Oh.
And I was, there was all sorts of upset, like, are you going to release it for not VR? But we made it for VR. It's specifically that style of game. But what about people who don't have VR? So I haven't played that one. I can't vouch for it. But if you do see a The Room game in your VR collection, I would go for that one because they've traditionally been very, very good.
I should stream that. That would be a fun thing to stream on Twitch, is me playing an escape room VR game.
Cammy just gave a clue for taxi. Just
Wait, what?
Typed in all caps, Uber.
Oh!
Thank you, Cammy. Thank you very much.
Cammy, we're she started late and doesn't realize she's not caught up to the live, and it's fine. We appreciate that clue. It's
an excellent clue. It's really good. It's really good.
So basically, are there any, just to wrap this up, are there any of the escape room games specifically that you're like, ooh, that would not make a good gift, since that's kind of what I wanted to theme this around? I would say the Escape Tales games are too big to gift to someone that's a non-gamer.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're looking for one of the single deck unlocks or exit games. Though there was an exit that we mentioned before we went on the air. If you're looking for an entry point, one of the titles, there was a few exit games that they made that were a little bit easier. And my favorite of those was The House of Riddles.
Agreed wholeheartedly.
A very straightforward, it's almost an introduction to escape room games in general, as well as this series. It just makes a lot of sense. It is easier, so if you are experienced in these style of games, you're going to fly through it. But if you're playing with younger kids, I'd considered one of my kids having a party and getting a few copies of these and having groups work their way through it. Like sort of running an escape room for a birthday party using this game, because it would work that well.
The only downside, so for the record, I agree with you. I love that one. I think the puzzles in that one are really fun. But the story in that one is one of the worst of any of the exit games. Like, it's very meh, would be how I would describe the story. And
almost
it was kind
meta,
of a bummer.
Actually. Because it's very much like, here's a bunch of puzzles for you to, figure out. And it's not nearly as immersive as others have been. And we barely touched upon Deckscape.
Which I know you're more of a fan of than I am, if I remember correctly.
I think that's a good entry point. I'm not as much of a fan of the way that Deckscape is scored, because there is a hint system. It's sort of like a one-sentence hint that you can look up in a book, I think. But it's like, what's the solution? You're looking at one side of a card, and what's the solution? And you flip over the card, and you're either right or wrong. And if you're wrong, you keep going, which is good. You can't get stuck, really, in Deckscape games. But if you're right, you just don't get the penalty points. You get penalty points if you mess up. But what I like about Deckscape is that it often splits up the deck. At some point in the game, it will split into multiple decks so that different people can be looking at totally different puzzles. So it's better for larger groups, 3 or 4 people or more to be playing, whereas a lot of these are better with like 2 or 3, so that you're not crowding the components too much.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, Deckscape paled only because I had played those early exit and unlock games first. And I thought that the puzzles were a little more interesting in those series. And since I had those in my head as points of comparison, then Deckscape kind of underwhelmed. It wasn't bad, but when I played it, I was like, well, I'd rather go play another exit or unlock game. But it really, it's not a bad system at all. And to your point, the being able to split things up was kind of neat and nice.
I think some of the later Deckscapes ones have been a little better. The first couple were pretty middle of the road. There's one about a magician. I can't remember the title off the top of my head, but that one was very good. And the one about the Curse of the Mummy was good as well.
Okay. Well, it's one of those things where, especially like once the world opens back up again, if I'm at a board game cafe, those are the types of things that I'd be like, oh yeah, grab it off the shelf and we could play that. That's not a bad thing. I will say that when I knocked off all of the board games, I scared the puppies. So I figured I could at least show everybody the puppies.
How is the sick puppy doing?
Lana is doing good. She's still in her cone. She gets her sutures out on Friday.
Sweet.
And then Maybe is over here next. Oh gosh, everything is a mess. Come here, Maybe. You want to come say hi? I can't. Come here. Come here. Come on. Everybody loves seeing the puppa. Come here.
What? I'm busy.
I know. She's like all curled up in a ball.
What do you want?
In the blanket.
There we go.
You want to say hi? Yeah. Everybody loves seeing the puppers. So. Well, we are well past our normal 7 p.m. soft stop time.
Oh,
Eric.
yes.
If anybody in the chat has any questions that they would like to ask Eric and I before we sign out, please throw them in the chat quickly, and we would love to answer them for you. Otherwise, we will be heading out fairly soon. Also, it's almost the middle of December, Eric.
I know. Like, our next episode is going to be right before Christmas, the 23rd of December. Wow. It's amazing how fast and slow this year has gone, and we're constantly in that weird time flux sort of thing. But I do appreciate our shining point of light that is Dice Tower Tonight. Oh, yes, and Coraloo has mentioned something. I saw Eric is on the schedule for a top 10 of 2020 this time next week, or actually an hour earlier, so 8 p.m. Eastern next Wednesday. I will be here on the Dice Tower channel with Mandy and Suzanne and Ella, and we'll be talking about our top 10 games of this year, 2020. And Coraloo is asking why Crystal isn't doing her top 10 of 2020.
I don't know.
I don't.
That is the answer to that question.
I don't know either.
I got a generic email from Tom at one point that he was looking for contributors to submit video top 10s.
Yep.
When I said, yes, I'll do a top 10, I prefer doing the live content. Put me on a live stream and I'm happy. But if I have to record and edit video and send it in,
yep.
I don't generally have the time to make that happen as easily. So I think that's probably why. I don't know. I guess if I had sent something in, I would maybe be somewhere on the schedule, but I have not. So that's partially on me, I guess. And also, it is nice to feature other contributors to the Dice Tower in the live top 10 lists. So the fact that Ella is doing it with you is really exciting.
Yes, I have not done a live stream with Ella, so that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I need to figure out my list. This year is going to be weird for a top 10 of the year, just because there's so much that I didn't have a chance to play. Conventions are a major outlet for me to play a lot of games. And to not have had those this year is going to be weird as far as putting a list together. And it has to sort of have to have a big asterisk around any top 10 lists of the year, just because there's so much that didn't get played.
I think that is kind of understandable from many people. It'll be, these are my top 10 games, and they might be the only 10 games that I played that were released in 2020 or something close to that. Halo, I like that idea. It won't necessarily be our theme, but maybe in 2 weeks I will put together my top 10 list from 2020 and just share it with you all quickly here.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, why not? It'll be our last episode of the year, so it would be certainly a topic of discussion that would be worth it.
And Dad Boards, Anthony, you are correct. My birthday is in 8 days, so it'll be between this episode and our next episode.
Ah, yes.
I'm very excited to stay at home and do nothing, because that's what we do in 2020.
And Daniel asks, how are the game rooms coming along? Mine, did I talk about what was in stock at IKEA a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, you said that you didn't have you only got the one part of it, but not the other part of it.
The frames. So the Besta style, or the Besto, I guess if you're pronouncing it properly, all they have are the frames, the rectangular units, 6 feet tall. So I have 4 of those, and they are assembled. I still need to level them and attach them all together. But I'm waiting for the flat boards, the shelves themselves, to come in stock so I can actually finish putting it together and put games on it. So I'm in a little bit of a holding pattern on that front. But it's starting to look cool.
And I will admit that while Eric, you have, kiddos that you game with and a wife that you game with, I live alone, so I have very little motivation to work on my game room right now. I mean, as much as it would be exciting to like get it all set up and whatever else, I honestly think that might bum me out some, because like if I had it all clean and pretty and ready to go, and then couldn't do anything with it, like that's kind of a little bit of a bummer. And also I'm lazy and a procrastinator, so truthfully, like I'm just not doing it yet.
But also the downside is when, the day comes that we are able to get together again, you want to have it ready. Wouldn't it be bad if like the gates are open and you're like, oh, I'm not ready yet?
So my friends will come over play amidst the whatever chaos house is in.
I can make a table from the boxes, the moving boxes, and play on that.
I do have the poker table, the folding poker table in there. So there is a table. Games can be played in my game room right now. I don't have a ton of chairs. I have a couple of folding chairs. I have my old office chair in there. But yeah, if a impromptu game night were to materialize and be safe in such a way that we could do it, I could manage at this point. It just wouldn't be pretty and photogenic right now.
And Kabuki, I don't hate the spiral staircase yet, although it is dangerous. You have to go down that thing slowly. And carrying my coffee down in the morning when I'm going into the booth, and I have to be like very careful and lowering one step at a time. So it's more treacherous than I expected it to be.
All right, well, I think we should probably wrap things up. It is late over in Eric's neck of the woods.
I'm getting punchy is what's happening.
You know what? I do that late at night too, and it's not late for me yet, but it will be soon. So thank you all so much for joining us for tonight's episode. Please, before you go, make sure you click the thumbs up button below the video to let the YouTube algorithms know that your friends should come check this video out and join us for our next episode, which will be in 2 weeks, December 23rd at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be in a full holiday spirit mode at that point.
Sure.
In some fashion. Now that I've said that, I want to wrap myself in Christmas lights for our live stream.
I look forward to that.
We'll see if I can make that happen. But until our next episode, I am Crystal Dax.
I'm Eric Summerer.
And you've been watching Dice Tower Tonight.
Thank you for watching. Promotional consideration has been provided by game publishers in the form of review copies of games. Crystal and I will see you in 2 weeks for another installment. Our show is supported by viewers like you. Thank you. Dice Tower Tonight is produced by Crystal and me, with assistance from Tom Vassell, Mike DeLisio, Roy Kennedy, and Rob Searing. Kirsty, the actress from Cheers, starring in a melodrama about underwater crustaceans brought to you by Alley in Prawn Tears. Timothy Pinkham composed our theme, and hosting is provided by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games at great prices at coolstuffinc.com. Give us your feedback on the Dice Tower Guild at Board Game Geek, on Facebook or Twitter, or by emailing us at crystal@dicetower.com or eric@dicetower.com. And don't forget to visit the other shows in the Dice Tower Network. Find something new at dicetowernetwork.com. Until next time, from all of us at the Dice Tower, have fun gaming.
I knew that it had to do with Alley, but I couldn't. That was a good one.
Alley in Prawn Tears.
Prawn Tears.
Yeah, it's a thinker.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.